I didn't feel I was that able to prepare him for school. I would have liked to have talked to him about it and explained what was going to happen, and sort of talk to him about other children that he knew that would be there. But he hadn't really made any friends, although he knew children from playgroup. The idea of saying, oh, so-and-so will be there with you, wouldn't have been any comfort whatsoever. And he wasn't a good listener, so I couldn't get his attention and focus it on something that was a bit abstract, like, you know, he knew where the school was, but, you know, concepts of sort of time and when he was going and how long it would be and all that kind of thing was very difficult to get across to him. The one thing I did do, though, was to get him to practice eating lunch out of a lunchbox, because I thought, well, that might be something that's familiar that will go from home to school. But apart from that, it was a bit of a worry, I think, because I kind of sensed that he would find the whole thing bewildering and perhaps a bit stressful, which he did.
The first time I went, when I was was about just 4 years old and visited the school for the first time, it was daunting. Couldn't really understand what was going on. The first year I had, so year one, okay. There wasn't a great deal of work. I was always a bit of a loner. I always had my own little routine at break time, play time, to just sort of talk to my imaginary people, and usually use the same space. I think people couldn't really understand me. Someone once commented that I just spend my whole playtimes just walking up and down the steps. It was great for me. I was just talking to my own imaginary people, pretending to be the teacher, talk to someone about cars or something like that.
The first day of school he came home, and the next morning I saw that he'd peeled a load of wallpaper off the wall. He was on the top bunk at the time, and peeled a whole load of wallpaper off the wall where his head was, and I thought, oh my goodness, that child's been completely traumatised by his first day at school. Years and years later, he told me that it was nothing to do with feeling traumatised. He'd actually wanted to be the teacher, and he'd needed a whiteboard to write on, so he'd peeled off some wallpaper to try and create a whiteboard, which I was quite relieved to hear that, but it was years after the actual time. At the time I thought, my goodness, he must have had a terrible day, but he wasn't able to say what had happened or anything.